Welcome back. Lucy Pearson, the country director of the British Council, has been in Nigeria a few months and has fallen in love with the country. In my chat with her, she clears some misconceptions about what the council does and how easy it is to get some of those university scholarships you've always wondered about. Thank you, Lucy, for speaking with us. What has been your experience working as country director of the British Council in Nigeria?
Well, you're asking me a perfect opportunity. We've just had the first event since I've come in as country director, welcoming the Foreign Secretary and the Secretary of State for Development. I'm only a week into the role, country director Nigeria and also director for West Africa. So it's a huge privilege to be here. I've worked for the British Council for 22 years nearly, and to be in a country that's so important to the UK-Nigeria relationship, and to be leading one of the biggest operations in sub-Saharan Africa. I'm absolutely honoured to be here and working with our very talented staff in Nigeria. I've been here for 3 years already, so I know our work here, I know the people that we work with and the staff that we work with across our 4 offices in Nigeria. So I'm delighted, it's busy, it's hard work at times, but tonight brings it all together when we welcomed our guests who we've worked with over many years through arts, through culture, through creative industries, and welcoming them to the British Council for our event celebrating women's empowerment. I think through some of the programmes that we've offered in the last 2 years in particular, where we've focused on women and girls empowerment, everything from Premier Skills work, for example, that started off in Lagos, but now we're moving that to Kano in the north, where we're working with young girls and women to teach them skills, to build their confidence through football training, but then through community-related issues. So we're working with a wide range, over 200 young girls and women that we've worked with in Lagos State. And we're very proud that we're now taking that out of the commercial capital to a different area of the country.
Well, you mentioned football. How come?
Okay, so globally the British Council's got a partnership with the Premier League. And with the Premier League, we've developed a programme called Premier Skills. So that's the programme that we run in Nigeria, where we have professional football coaches that train football coaches in Nigeria. And we also address some community issues and use football as a medium to address some issues, and as I said, to develop skills, to develop confidence with young women and girls. So for example, in Lagos recently, alongside the football, we ran some training around child protection issues, speaking up, similarly when we moved to Kano. But we're working very closely with civil society organisations as well to understand what the needs are of the local community.
When people hear the British Council, they tend to mix it up with the High Commission or the Deputy High Commission. What's the difference between what you do here and what's done at the High Commission?
I mean, generally, the High Commission and the Deputy High Commission here in Lagos, their focus is political. They're the political arm of the Foreign Office here. The British Council is the cultural arm of the British government representation here in Nigeria. So through our work in cultural relations, or soft power is another term that's sometimes used, we build long-standing relationships. British Council's been here for over 70 years in Nigeria, and we will be here for many more years to come as we continue with our friendship with Nigeria, rather from federal and state government levels down to through to the people that we work with and the partners that we work with in the country. So through our work in arts, I've mentioned sport, education, higher education, working with school children, across the portfolio of our work, across the country, we look to build relationships, create opportunities for young people in particular, and build that relationship between the UK and Nigeria. If anything, that relationship becomes more important. We focus on the Commonwealth. Obviously, you know, Nigeria is a Commonwealth country. We recognise that in a number of ways. British Council itself runs a Commonwealth Scholarship, and some of the alumni were here this evening. So our international relations beyond Europe become ever important in this changing world. So the UK and the British Council, in the work that we do in cultural relations, will continue to build long-standing friendships and relationships, and that continues.
Well, speaking of achievement, a lot of Nigerian students are, of course, interested in going to the UK to study, but to many people, it's difficult getting the scholarship, and you get this great opportunity to go study in some of the best schools in the UK. What are some of the things you could say to help dispel some of the misconceptions about Chihwan and the application?
Okay, so the British Council doesn't run the Chihwan Scholarship, but if perhaps I can say a little bit in terms of what I know, because the High Commission manages that here. You mentioned about it being difficult. I was talking to a young lady this evening who was a Chihwan scholar, and she was actually mentoring people that are wanting to apply now to give them some tips on how to stand out from the crowd, if you like. So I think that's excellent. You know, somebody's come back, not only benefited from the Chihwan Scholarship and the networks and the education in the UK, and coming back to Nigeria to put that into place, but actually sharing her learning and sharing her experience with the next generation of Chihwan scholars coming through. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity to benefit others. I guess also with the economy situation at the moment, then the cost of studying abroad, whether it's in the UK or elsewhere, becomes prohibitive for some people. But again, through our work at the British Council, you know, we're also looking at how we can work with higher education institutions to build partnerships between higher education institutions in Nigeria and in the UK, so perhaps the distance learning study can go on rather than Nigerian students feeling that they have to travel and the expense of that, which is not affordable. So how can we be more inclusive in our education, work with our partners?
Speaking of exchange of cultures, you've been here for a while, so what aspects of Nigerian culture do you find the most intriguing?
Where to start? Where to start with all the ethnic groups, the 250 plus languages. As I've been here for 3 years, I'm very, very fortunate to have travelled, not as far as I would like to have done so far in Nigeria, but everything from working with our staff and meeting with the people that we work with in Kano, in Sokoto, in Jigawa, down to Port Harcourt in the Delta. I've been very lucky to meet with a lot of people that we work with across our programmes and to take in that culture. So whether it's a different food, trying to learn a few words in Igbo or Yoruba, Pidgin.
Have you picked up any slangs yet?
Well, okay, so that into Pidgin, certainly. Okay, how far I think I'm paid.
Thank you once again for speaking with us, Lucy.
A pleasure, welcome.
This is where we end the program. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to hearing from you. And don't forget to watch past editions of the program on channelstv.com. I am Amarachi Ovani. I'll see you next time.